Sean Combs indicted on charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. Federal charges, or a federal indictment, and charges unsealed a day after his arrest in Manhattan. The music mogul known as Diddy was accused of running a criminal enterprise that threatened and abused women. So, here it is. Another one of these Hollywood or Hollyweird pedophiles has been exposed. And like I said, this is the elite. This is the rich, powerful people like the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, and these rich families that run our government, and they control the media, and they control the news, and they control what we eat, and they control almost everything, including the agendas that are being pushed. The transhumanist, transgender, LGBTQ+, occult, witchcraft, evil agenda, this big agenda that they are pushing. And I bet that they're probably going to delete this article in a few days, and they're probably going to say, oh, he's not guilty and everything, but we know that he is. And we know that there are tons of rich, powerful predators in Hollywood, like Corey Feldman, or something like that guy exposed. And he said that he knew this other guy that was raped when he was 13 or when he was 12 or 11. By one of these powerful Hollywood people. And yet, that person, I think his name is Charlie Sheen, is still walking away, even though he's been exposed, and he just got away with all of this. And this guy probably is going to do the same, because we know these people run everything, and they control everything behind the scenes, and they get to make everything. And they want to push also this pedophilia into the mainstream, and they want it to be normalized by the public. But anyway, here it says, as a visionary music mogul since the early 1990s, Sean Combs produced era-defining hip-hop and R&B hits for stars, like the Notorious B.I.G. and Mary J. Blige, and his sprawling business empire and star-studded parties made him a tabloid fixture. But in a federal indictment unsealed on Tuesday, Mr. Combs was also described as the boss of a years-long criminal enterprise that threatened and abused women, coercing them to participate against their will in drug-fueled orgies with male prostitutes and threatening them with violence or the loss of financial support if they refused. And like I said, Eyes Wide Shut, you know why they made Eyes Wide Shut? Because Eyes Wide Shut was a documentary. Eyes Wide Shut was telling the truth about all these secret societies and all these corruption running around in Hollywood or Hollyweird, and all this corruption running around in the government, and people in the government that are involved in human trafficking and other crimes against humanity, and a lot of those people still haven't been fully exposed, but I think that we should expose them. And that's what I do with my channel partly. I, dedicate this to exposing all these just evil people. Exposing, like the scripture says, exposing the powers of darkness. The 14-page indictment against Mr. Combs, a producer, a record executive, and performer who is also known as Diddy and Puff Daddy, includes 3 counts of sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Prosecutors said that to commit these acts, Mr. Combs and employees engaged in kidnapping, forced labor, arson, and bribery, and kept firearms at ready. So, this is very interesting. Talks about how he's not going to plead guilty, and he's going to get away with it, basically, because he is one of these top people. And like I said, you don't get to be like these big famous people, unless you are a part of Freemasonry or you do a ritual or a certain act or sacrifice for them. And that's the truth. That's how these people get to be big and where they are today. Here we go. This is very interesting, this part. The indictment, which was filed with the court last Tuesday and unsealed on Tuesday. Oh, sorry, I think I said a typo. Which was filed with the court last week and unsealed on Tuesday. Includes graphic descriptions of what it says Mr. Combs called freak-offs. Highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity in hotels and other locations that were fueled by drugs and could go on for days. That's crazy. At these events, the government says women were plied with drugs to keep them obedient and coerced to participate in sex with prostitutes. Not surprising. And orgies? Very Eyes Wide Shut-ish. And I read somewhere else that he also made them wear, masquerade masks. So, Yeah, very like Eyes Wide Shut. And that other movie I talked about, Saraband for Dead Lovers, included them also doing rituals of mass. So, yeah, they've been doing this stuff for a long, long time. And that movie was made in the 1940s, so for over like 50 years. But now we're exposing them. But I don't know if that's going to really do anything because these people still control the media and they control the news and they still control everything. So it's still probably not going to do much. And these predator people are, in Hollywood and in the elite are still going to keep getting away with what they're doing. Not until this world ends. And they will receive their punishment on Judgment Day, along with all the wicked evil people. And it says in the scripture, Revelation 21:8, it says that they're going to go to the lake of fire. Those coerced to participate in the orgies typically receive IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use, according to the indictment. So, very interesting. I'm just trying to read all of this. So, Mr. Combs would watch these events, sometimes while masturbating and recording video. According to the government, Mr. Combs used the sensitive, embarrassing, and incriminating recordings that he made during freak-offs as collateral to ensure the continued obedience and silence of the victims. Prosecutors assured that the women believed they could not refuse his demands without physical or emotional abuse, without fearing that their financial or job security would be put at risk. They alleged that Mr. Combs maintained control over women by tracking their location, dictating their appearance, monitoring their medical information, and supplying them with drugs. No victims are named in the indictment, and the government sex trafficking count mentions only an anonymous victim number 1. So, very evil stuff. Very evil. Very evil stuff. And like I said, these people are everywhere. And they run the media, and they run the government, and they're at the top of the government. And what was that other lady I talked about? Anneke Lucas, or however you pronounce her name, that was in this elite pedophile ring. And she said these pedophile rings are like everywhere. And that they're like super like top, like they're at the top of Hollywood and top of all these industries. So there's no way to get rid of them. So I just look forward to the next world. And I just look forward to what it talks about in the scripture about Revelation. It says that this world will pass away and that there will be like a next world. And so hopefully in the next world, none of this stuff will be like anywhere. But until then, this evil and this wickedness will just continue getting worse and worser. And it will continue just getting more and more. This world will continue to get more and more morally depraved because we are near the end. We are near the end times, as the scripture says. And that is why this is all happening.